Hi friends, welcome to our Saga brand channel. I'm here with Gabi, who is a co-founder and a good friend. We work together on a bunch of stuff, and so we're throwing in to build a brand in 100 days and see what kind of a mess we can make. We will either fail catastrophically and have a great story, or we will win somehow and hopefully be able to pass that on, share that on with you. So I mentioned it's a 100-day thing. Gabi is a trooper to be diving in with me. Hi Gabi, welcome to the show. Good to have you on the channel together again.
Good to be here. I'm excited. This is going to be a
Yeah.
fun conversation.
I think so too. We chat like almost every week now. We do another live stream over on our different channel where you're a mentor with the legend fiction community. So we both love writing novels, and that's kind of why this brand is actually kind of really cool to work with, because we're focusing on helping companies, helping brands to brand up, to do better, to get a breakthrough, to see their story that they're in, to help people more accurately. Okay, so I said, I invited you in, and I said, hey, I want to start this project. Okay, I think we can do a lot of fun, do a lot of good, and maybe we can make some income. And that's always very helpful. So we're giving this a go, and I told you it was going to be 100 days, and that's the time frame for being able to stay focused and get it going. And then at the time you're like, cool, bro, why 100 days? Like, it's probably a reason. What is it? And reason being is because I like to go all in really hard, really fast, and get stuff done and then burn out because I didn't pace myself. Now, there's other people on the other side who are like never start at all, and they have tons of really great ideas, and then they're thinking next year I will, or I will spend the next 12 months and I will work on my thing and then it will get done. So going with something like 100 days or a 3-month window, it's a really nice process. And after the 30 days, and that's what today is all about, is talking about what have we together done in the past 30 days, and the fact that we're reaching a point where it actually feels good and we're actually making progress. At least I can say that for me. I want to hear what you think. But we're putting the pieces together. We're working towards a 100-day goal. And so I want to talk through with you some of that. I want to ask you in a second what some of your thoughts have been after the past 30 days. I know that we started right after Valentine's Day, because I remember February 14th being in my mind. So maybe a week before that, we've now been in this. We're a little outside that first 30-day window. But again, the major reason for 100 days to show up when you have no brand, no money, no credibility, nobody knows about you. So how do you go from idea to influence in 100 days? That matters to me because it's something I have done unintentionally, without paying attention, over and over again with launching my own side projects just for fun and trying to figure out how can I make these things financially, viable? How can I meet a ton of people? How can I bring in other people into these communities, into these brands? And then after doing it like 3 times and realizing there's actually a recipe here that I'm following every time. Okay, Gabi, hey, come on. Why don't we do this intentionally for like 100 days? I've got a book that I've tried to write it all down through, and I plan to share all of this on the channel with people because we want to help people. I was listening to a podcast the other day and realized I like how he begins, and so I'm going to start doing this for every one of my episodes. So if somebody asks, well, why are you giving all this away for free? What's your angle? Well, here's the angle. I'm hoping that by sharing all of this stuff with you, with the channel, with everybody everywhere, you can start a cool brand, start doing a whole bunch of good stuff, start leveling up so that at some magical point, you can either join the community that we're maybe thinking of starting, or you can maybe come and hire us. And if you never hire us, that's fine too. We just want to do maximal good and help people. But if you can be successful, and if we can help you be even more successful, well, we would kind of love that. So that's why I'm doing this. It's to help and help you level up, so maybe we can help you some more. Okay, over to you, Gabi. It's been about 30, 40 days now in this sort of process. We'll get into more of the details in a minute, like the actual blow-by-blow sort of stuff we've been thinking through and trying to make sense of it all. What's your take so far coming into this? Because I think you were looking at a bunch of different paid positions, but you're also running your own freelancing editing business, and you volunteer with Legend Fiction, and we were working together on getting a writing school together, and we decided to put a lot of that on pause. Well, the writing school anyway. You're still doing your freelance editing. What has it been like for you over the last 30, 40 days to be working on this and building this together?
It's been pretty exhilarating.
Really?
I mean, yeah,
Okay, that's
because
awesome.
here's the thing. So I published my first book, then published my second book, and man, I was struggling along with marketing. Like slowly but surely, it gives you a little bit of feedback once in a while, but not the same amount of input. I was not getting the output as much as the input. And so now that I was able to jump on here, come to Saga Brand, where that is like our whole point. Our whole point is start with nothing, no budget, want to reach people, tell your story, and to be able to actually be immersed by working with you, by actually doing the process through Saga Brand, I have just been able to absorb so much. And honestly, I've kind of it's been re-sparked this thought of I can do this. Because after a while of the marketing, the stubborn piece of you is like, keep going. The dream is still there, you can do it. But some more surface part of you is like, is this even worth it anymore? Is the amount of effort that I am putting into this, it's not actually having an effect. Is this doable? Is it worth it? And then coming to Saga Brand, it's like, yeah, it's worth it. Yeah, it's doable. Yeah, 100 days, and we're already in 30 days, and just the sheer amount of progress that we've made, the brainstorming that we've done together, the new ideas, the abilities to make connections, and honestly, just the drive to be able to go to that outreach. I mean, you've really brought me out of my shell and gotten me past this kind of nervous wall, this nervous block that I've had of I don't really want to reach out to people. That makes me nervous. I told myself I was just gathering the courage before, but then now this was kind of like the nudge out the door, like, okay, go. And so it's really brought me out of my comfort zone in the best way. I feel like I'm growing. I feel like I'm learning. And it's really nice also to be able to collaborate with someone. It's one thing to just market for yourself and you're alone at your laptop listening to an audiobook all day as you try and do this. But it's another thing when you have someone who you're depending on and is depending on you, and you're working together and you're holding each other accountable and making it more fun. So yes, I would say exhilarating.
That's awesome.
Now, how about you? How has the first 30 days been for you? You mentioned that a lot of times you work odd burnout. Are you at burnout yet? Are you approaching burnout, or
No,
is it kind of feeding you?
No, good. Yeah, thank you. Good question. Keeping it at bay. Again, major reason why the 100-day window has been fantastic for me is because it helps keep the burnout at bay. It's because I'm able to pace when I want to, or when I would imagine or hope to achieve like these success markers. So the way that we're putting it, subtitle of the book is like from idea to influence in 100 days, right? Well, you could define influence as, hooray, I've got 5 people on my channel. Okay, well, that's 5 more than you had a month ago before when you were doing nothing. Or I gained 1 client, and they paid me X amount, and now all of a sudden I can do more than I was doing 3 months ago because I now have 1 client, which could lead to more. And so I'm able to start influencing other people because I'm sharing what I think, I'm doing things that matter to me. If I'd gone with my original kind of ADHD impulse and I would have tried to cram everything in the first 30 days, like I pitched an idea to you like, hey, we should do, and we can maybe get into this in another conversation, we should do an event as a way to really launch ourselves and bring it everything in. And then I started getting closer and closer to the idea of actually hosting an event and realized we still need to build a bit more of a brand first. And I think, so that's what we'll talk about a little bit today. But what if we move that event, let's say, further out towards the end of the 100-day window, and we focus on building up an audience first and see what happens. And even if we decide to not do the event at that point, but just move it further forward, what are we going to be doing in the interim to build up, to build up the brand? So there's this, so let's recap kind of where we are to date. So Saga Brand as an actual idea, it's been around for about, I think I started it last year, but I didn't take it seriously. It was a rebrand actually from a project I'd started during the pandemic called Dream Again Marketing. But what kept happening is, one, I would get some clients who are like, hey, could you run Google ads for my thing? And I'm like, that's not the kind of marketing that I do. And everybody who would show up would keep expecting or assuming marketing is that kind of thing. And I didn't have a plan for the brand. I thought, it'd be so nice to have like a marketing school and train or teach other people. My heart would be to help other young people, kind of like you, young people like who I was 10 years ago coming into this space, people who want to do stuff, who have big ideas and dreams, but they don't know what the steps are. They also don't have a budget to invest in anything. They might have time and they might have chutzpah or, drive to do something, but if you're like me, you're fire hosing energy in all different directions, trying all kinds of different things. So I ended up learning stuff, but it took me 10 years when it could have taken me maybe 10 hours or 10 months. And so that's why, one, the first thing that I did is, I reached out to you. I was like, okay, I've got this brand. Here's the idea for it. We could make some good income. We could learn a lot together. First thing that I'm going to do before I ask you to do anything is I'm going to rewrite my book. So I had written a book 2 years ago, and it just sat in a Google Doc. I'd had a couple of beta readers, and they never made it all the way through. In fact, they didn't get past the first 25% of it. And at first I thought, no, they're not, they don't love me anymore or something. Then I went back and I reread it and I realized, yeah, okay, this is awful. It just waffles along. It tries to be too philosophical.
I've been there.
Yeah, there's fluff chapters in there. And so what I did was I took a 2-week, it ended up taking about 2 weeks. I took the whole book and I ran it through ChatGPT and I said, pretend you are my two heroes, Seth Godin and Alex Hormozy, and audit every single chapter one by one. Tell me everything that's wrong with the chapter and everything that's right with the chapter, and give me recommendations on how to do better. And those were a brutal and exhilarating 2 weeks, because they ripped into absolutely everything I thought was nice. And they said, oh, this is very, it's very philosophical and it's very all about mindset. And there's nothing actionable in this. That's very Hormozy. Seth Godin is like, how do you serve people better? Right? How can marketing be an act of service? And so these two have gone on to be like touchstones for me. I love how they focus on the right things and they break it down so it's very, very tactical and, relentlessly helpful to other human beings, not to algorithms or stuff like that.
Right.
I love that mindset. That's vital to me. All right. So after writing the book, I then tasked you to kind of get up to speed. Over to you. What were your thoughts and what did you end up punching through during that period?
Well, the largest thing was honestly organization and just prepping for the outreach. Because that's kind of like my job right now, mainly. It is the outreach. It's the, hey, we have a podcast, we talk about cool stuff, you want to come chat. And again, it was a little bit of a hurdle that my mind had to get over because this is something that I'm so not used to. But that was mainly my role, and it has been my role. And honestly, I like it. I like it. I like being able to organize things. I like being able to see things step by step. I like being able to break things up into doable chunks because, if you have I think of when a room is a mess and you walk in and you're like, clean it. And I'm like, what do you mean clean it? Where do I even start? I can't see the floor. Whereas if I look at it and I'm like, okay, I cannot see the floor, I am first going to pick up the clothes and fold them. And that's it. And I'm focusing on folding the clothes. And then I fold the clothes. And then I do whatever else I need to clean. But if you just walk into the room and there's just so much to do, it can feel overwhelming. And then you think, I'm not going to go clean my room. I'm going to go watch Netflix. I'm done because I can't even. Whereas if you take it and break it up into tasks that are very clear, they're very straightforward, they're very doable, and they are very much pointing to the next thing. They're orderly. I love that. It helps me get the big tasks done. And so that is really what I have been able to do. I've been able to mark down our notes, mark down our ideas, organize them, see how they're connected. We had this idea for possibly this event at the end of the 100 days. Well, for the event, we need to talk to people. We need to get people interested in the podcast is going to be Brave New Frontier, but in SOUZA brand. So in order to get to this thing at the end, this event at the end, we need to start the outreach. And then I would talk about, okay, so before I start the outreach, we need to prepare these things beforehand. The website needs to be ready. That calendar thing that I just spent an hour wrestling with this morning and I won, and I'm proud of myself.
For you.
The sign up, we need to get that ready. And so then after that, we're able to start the outreach. I have all the places where then I can research further outreach, but we're starting with friends. We're starting with people that we know. And so organization is really, really my strength. And it helps, again, take the stress, takes the fear out of these tasks that are way, way out of my comfort zone. It's like, okay, they are out of my comfort zone, but we get there one step at a time. And so that's really been my joy and excitement in this process for the past 30 days.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Again, it's been really helpful for me too, because I'm used to operating solo and just my mind jumping ahead and fritzing between all the different tasks that I know how to get done and I've done them before, but having to break them down into a way that's helpful for bringing somebody else along it's been also very helpful for me. So one of the first things that I tasked you to do was to get caught up to speed with me on Alex Hormozy's book, $100 Million Offers. And then what I also then did at the same time that I'm rewriting my book, I'm also listening to his audiobooks and then his $1 million leads, $100 million leads. And those have been fantastic. And probably I'm going to go back and we'll re-listen to those again and keep studying those because they're just brilliant. So that we did that to get on the same page about how to think about these things. And then I rewrote the book. So this past month has been all about setting up the foundation. So I ended up rewriting the website, redeciding on what the product was that we were going to offer, spinning around for a couple of weeks on who is the target audience that we want to sell the product to. And then now we can focus on building up a brand. So I retconned a YouTube channel from the previous brand. It's now refreshed and updated, trimmed down all the videos to remove the old language from the old brand. It had no views on it. I think it even had 1 subscriber, and it's now jumped to 13.
Great.
Just from putting content and not really even sharing it anywhere. So that's actually kind of cool. It's like slowly beginning. So you and I then sat down and talked about what is the fastest way that we could outreach to bring people in. Like you just mentioned, reaching out to easy targets and welcoming people in. I need to, and I'm doing this, reaching out to my LinkedIn list of friends, people that I know. But the more important thing is we want to show up gift in hand, not cap in hand. And I thought that was kind of my idea. I mean, I know people do this all over the place. I was really proud of the way that I was been saying that until I heard a venture capitalist on a call 3-4 months ago saying, here's my industry secret. Show up gift in hand, not cap in hand to get people to notice you. And I thought, dang it. And that's awesome. So what we decided is, okay, well, the easiest thing that we could do, because cold calling and trying to get on sales calls with people is something that could be done. The downsides is you could waste 70% of your time to just get 30 or 10%, leads. So that is a way to go. And there are entire industries.
Mental energy too.
Yeah.
I mean, just cold calling people that you don't know, and there's like you said, a decent chance they're going to turn you down, and then you're expending all of that mental energy, particularly for me as an introvert, on something relatively futile when I could be spending that mental energy on something much more effective.
Yep. Well, we're both like that. That's an energy space we both have. We're kind of introverts. We're able to channel some extroversion for periods of time, but then we have to retreat back. So it doesn't work for us to be like trying to cold call. But also, it doesn't build the brand if we're spending all of our time that way. And also, we're having to chase people who have never heard from us. And so it's obvious to me, this is how I try to go about building a brand, is you have to pay attention to and honor just who you are, and then go and build a business in a way that honors and respects just who you are, the energy that you have, how you do go about doing stuff, and do it in a way that brings you energy. Because if you end up having to try to build a business in a way that goes against your grain constantly, you'll end up hating the business because it will constantly demand more sacrifice than you might feel you're prepared to pay, because the output that you're going to be putting out there is going to return it's going to give you back such a tiny, tiny amount that you end up in burnout. So you and I had to walk around this for a minute. Like, who do we reach out to, and what's the way that we do it? And so my favorite suggestion is start a show, start a podcast, find an idea that we and our potential guests both like about the world, and just invite them to come on and just chat with us. And maybe it's a sales call, and maybe it's not. In fact, I'm going to recommend let's just not. And let's focus each of us, maybe each of us try to get like 1 guest a day, and we're just going to go hard on creating content for the next 30 or 60 days. And it might take a minute to sort of ramp up and sort of fill the calendar and get people in, but invite people to come and sit down with us. They're going to meet us. They're going to decide if we're worth spending any further time on. We're going to be able to create maybe some valuable content. We're going to learn from them. We'll be able to, instead of going straight to market with a product or an idea, we're going to be able to straight up test it by asking people. And maybe after 30 conversations, you and I sit down and go, hey, we thought we wanted to do this. And then after talking with our audience, we've decided, okay, we need to do something different. And that's great that we spent time creating content that's not only valuable to us, but is also valuable to a YouTube channel and to potentially a ton of people who might like to learn all of this stuff. Come and hang out with us. We're building a brand, because here's the thing I love. The idea is trust on site. The beauty of a brand, of a good brand, is trust on site. And if you can build that, let's say the dream is thriving YouTube channel, tons of videos, tons of conversations. It's super helpful. And there's building a Substack blog and a mailing list, right? All of that could invite people into a community if they want kind of the accountability of building stuff together. And maybe hanging out with us. We hang out with them and we learn from them, right? It's a nicer, easier place to be operating out of, at least for us. Not everybody else needs to build a brand like this, but it's just what we're doing. So the process works though. The process works for when your brand is more about just selling stuff and your brand is more of an adventure. That is the kind of brand that this is, the kind of brand that we're both working on together with, Legend Fiction and the other projects that I run. I like to build adventures because I think we need to I dream of doing an insane amount of good in the time that I have. And I cannot stand the idea of getting to the end of my life and going, I phoned it in because life was hard and I didn't know what to do, and so I did nothing. I can't live that way. That's just not me. So, and I don't think that's you either, and I don't think it's half of the people, the self-starters who are following maybe this channel and who are reaching out to say hi and to connect with us. So
There's like this itch inside, this fire that if you just like squash it, it just is building pressure, and it's gotta come out. It's gotta bloom. It's gotta blossom.
Yep, exactly. So here we are. We're at 30 days. What have we accomplished? We have a book done. We have a product. We have a website. We have a YouTube channel. We have a brand. We have a podcast show ready to go. We've started some quiet outreach to people to see if I pitch this idea, are they going to say yes at all? Because if we get 100% no's, then we know our podcast idea sucks. But we're not actually. I'm getting like 100% yeses every time I reach out to people.
Me too.
Which is really cool. Who doesn't love to be on a podcast? So
I know, right?
This is our plan then for the next 60
like reach
days.
out to you and offer. Do you know like how like rare that is to have someone reach out and say, "Hey, would you like to be on my podcast?" That's like the dream, especially for the writer community that I'm in. It's like, yes, I want to be on your podcast. Yes, thank you.
Yeah. No, it's there aren't very many people who are offering podcasts, and most people are not creating any media content at all. I think I've never turned down a podcast invite because it's just cool to sit with somebody, and then I know long term it's like a 15-minute investment or a 30-minute investment of my time, and then I get a piece of content that sits online forever. That is free marketing. You know, for me, it's valuable to say yes, and so I do. And I think it's a way for us to create value for others without asking for anything.
Exactly. And to me, it's one of those types of outreach where it doesn't actually drain your tank, because it's just a 15-minute conversation about something that I know and am passionate about already. So it's like I just get to chat for 15 minutes and it's done. And it, like you said, there's so much value. It's up there now. Your face, your voice, your thoughts, they're on the internet. It's growing, more people. And I didn't have to like drain myself cold calling all the people that this podcast might hit.
Yeah, that's it. So there we go. That's been the first 30 to 40 days to where we are now. We have a plan. We both feel good about what we're doing, which is really cool. We're able to start outreaching. We're starting to build a content library on the YouTube channel, and then we'll cross-post that over onto Substack as a way to keep being more helpful to people, and they can subscribe and follow us because the algorithm is great on YouTube for finding new people, and then Substack is just fantastic for really staying in touch with them and having more private conversations and stuff like that. And so here we go. This is, day 30-ish or sort of 40-ish in our 100-day experiment. You should subscribe. Well, you don't have to. Only subscribe if you want to. If you don't want to, please don't. Otherwise, hit the like button if this was fun or interesting, and argue with us or compliment us. We do love those. In the comments below. Yeah, it's always fun to meet and make new friends. And if this kind of thing interests you, go ahead and say hi. I can't wait to meet you. Would love to chat. And we're just going to continue showing up around the channel. Hopefully we'll meet you again somewhere on YouTube or maybe in your inbox. If you hit the link in the description, check below. You'll get the link for the notes. If you made it this far in the conversation, you're probably going to be interested in another conversation, another YouTube. Man, I'm having a good day. If you made it this far into this conversation, you might enjoy another video that I recorded on how to live the good life, and it's a 30-minute kind of breakdown of all the major mindsets and things that I have been challenging myself with over the last year, and I've tried to write them all down. It lets you know where I'm trying to go with life. Maybe you'll find it helpful too, so you can go ahead and watch that video right now.